Hi, welcome to Grow New Plants. So today I'm going to do my first set of cuttings for my misting propagation bed. The misting propagation bed is done now, so I'm going to get some cuttings done to put in there and see how it works. And I've got 3 different kinds of crepe myrtles that I actually got these from my dad's place. He has a wide variety of crepe myrtles and he knows which varieties are which. So I went out there this morning and got some cuttings. I got them packed in the ice chest, in water, in ice. Keep them cool, hopefully, so they survive and don't wilt before I get them stuck and get them into the mist. So a couple things new here today. One is the misting propagation bed, and then 2 is I've got some new Rootmaker containers. And these are called Rootmaker 18 Express containers. And the thing I like about them, they got this frame that holds these individual cells. And the reason that and they're the same size cells as the regular 18 Rootmaker trays, but they're really hard plastic, so they're not gonna wear out ever. But the thing that I like about these is that for cuttings, you never get 100% on cuttings. So if I go through here and say, this one root, this one doesn't root, this one roots, and this one roots, well, after a while, when I realize one of them's not gonna make it, I can pull that cell out and I can condense it down. So I'm not taking up cells for ones that didn't take because I have the whole tray in there. So I can pull them out individually. And then the other thing that I'm thinking, and I don't know, I'll see once I get, once I use them for a while, is that some will root quicker than others. So if one roots quick enough and it's ready to pull out and start hardening off, I can pull that individual one plant out and move it up to the top of the misting bed. And that's where I'm going to do the hardening off at. So I can go ahead and move it up when it's ready, not have to wait till they all get ready. So that way you pull some, maybe some stay too long, some don't stay long enough. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I've already filled up one full tray and all but 3 on the other one. And I'm just going to show you a little trick that I found on filling these up with soil. And then I also have one tray I'm going to do with these 4-packs. These are a little bit smaller. These are 24 to a tray, and these are 18. So these are a little bit smaller, but I think they'll do fine for rooted cuttings. And kind of the same thing, I can pull out. If I have a whole tray that does good, I can move that tray out. If I have a whole tray that does bad, I can move it out. I can't do it individually. I still have more choices to do as far as if I want to pull some of them out, leave some of them in, than I would if it was just all the plants were in one cell or one big tray. So I'm going to get reset up and I will show you how I fill these cells up. I got my mix already made and I've wetted these down good. And so I'll fill up these last 3 trays and then we'll get set up and we'll start doing the cuttings themselves. Okay, so I just stuck some soil in a pot here where you can see it. So these things, I just basically, the obvious part, I just take it, put them in there and pack them in. What I did before, just playing with these, is I pack it in, it feels pretty stout. But then when I put my cutting in, the center kind of collapses a little bit. So what I've come to realize is you got to kind of push the center down and then pack a little bit more in there. I packed that one pretty good. It didn't do it as much. But when you push your finger in there, you see it just kind of collapses. So basically I put some in there. I poke my finger in the middle a couple times and I think all it's doing is just getting that dirt all the way down in that bottom section. It's just kind of packing it down in there. So put it in there, poke your finger in there a couple times, and pack a little bit more, and then level them off. And then you just stick them into these little trays here. So I'm going to water these 3 in. The rest of them have been watered. I'm getting eat up by flies out here today. And then I will get the crepe myrtles out here, and we'll start cutting. I'll probably just stick one tray, and then I'll fast forward maybe through the other ones. Okay, so I took these cuttings, and I just packaged them into a white trash bag. Poured a little bit of water on them where they stayed good and wet. And then I put them in my ice chest. And then I added a couple ice packs in there too, just to help keep them cool. And I never let them sit in the direct sun the whole time that they were there. So that's my method to keep these things from drying out. I don't want them to dry out, and I want them to stay just as healthy, because ideally you cut them right where you're at. So I need to get 18 cuttings out of these. So, and I got a couple little weird ones. So I had this one here that's got a branch on it already. So I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a shot and just see what happens with it. So I'm going to make an angled cut just below that node, cut that off, and then I'm going to take, probably go about right here. I don't want these things too tall. And then maybe about right there. And then I'll pull some more of these leaves off, where I'll leave like maybe 3 or 4 leaves or something like that on the top. And I don't know, I think that limb is probably dead, so I'm going to prune it off. But anyway, I'm just curious to see what will happen with that one. So that'll be one cutting. And then I got several others that like that I can try. I guess I can try 3 of these. Well, I kind of screwed that one up because I didn't cut it at a node. I got to get to a node. Here's a node right here on this one. So I'll take that node off. This one's actually got, same thing. It's got 3 live branches. And that's probably what happened. This branch here in the middle died out and then it split and made those other branches. So I'll cut that dead one out. I'll take the tips off. I like taking the tips off because I want these things to branch out. Where I cut those tips, I want them to branch. I want them to branch low to make a multi-trunk crepe myrtle. If you leave the tips on them, not always, but sometimes, like most of these have seed heads on them, but like if you have one that, say if you were to, say this didn't have a seed head and you planted this thing, well the tip of it could just keep growing up and just be a single tree. And I don't really want that. I want them to branch out. So I'm taking the seed heads off. And we'll go up here. I can get a couple cuttings off this one. That's a double node right there, which is good. And then we'll go ahead and go a little bit higher there. We'll go there. And then we'll take these lower leaves off. And leave those 2 leaves on there. So that'll be 3 cuttings. So I'm just going to keep repeating this. I'm taking some that are relatively thick. Like this one's really thick. It's got 2 nodes there at the bottom. 2 more. It's got some really big leaves on it. So I'll probably leave 2 leaves on this one, but I'm going to cut them in half. So that's a really thick one compared to some of these other ones. So I'm just going to do a variety and then see what tends to work best. So anyway, I'll keep going through here and I'll get these up till I got 18 of them cut and then we'll stick them. Okay, I'm going to take all these things and just dip them all in the rooting hormone and let them sit here for a minute. Okay, so, and I was using the Clonex rooting hormone. So far I've had really good success with this, so I've kind of stuck with this. I use the other, I can't even remember what the other brand is that I have, but every once in a while I use it. Sometimes I just can't find this, so I use the other stuff, but I like the Clonex. So that's something I've started doing, is that I put the Clonex on, and I let them sit for a little while, just give them time to absorb it before I put them in. So I'm gonna get reset up, and then we'll get these things stuck, and then I'll go show you putting them inside the misting bed. Okay, so I got me a little diddle stick made here, and this is pretty basic. I'm just gonna make a little hole, get started, push that down in there, push the soil around it, and try to get them as straight as I can. That's one of the reasons I started watering these things before I put the cuttings in, because a lot of times that soil will settle and you'll get a cutting in there pretty straight. Not that it's really that important, because when it gets repotted it can be straightened out, but it's the soil tends to settle awkwardly, I guess. And they don't always stay straight after you put them in there. So when I put these in the misting tent, you're going to see I've got a tray in there with a couple things, and I just put I took some cuttings off of a crepe myrtle in my yard. I think it's a watermelon red. It's a really, really old variety, and I don't know if anybody even desires that variety anymore. And then I put a couple, just out of curiosity, some cedar tree cuttings that I took also out there at my father's place today. And the crepe myrtle cuttings have been in there for over 2 days now, and I just wanted to kind of check to make sure that my timing and everything was good on my misting timer. I'm still doing some adjusting. I think I still need to cut it back because the soil is staying pretty wet, but it's not sloppy wet, but it's staying pretty wet. I just don't want the roots to rot, or the stems, the cuttings to rot. So here's one of these little branched ones. Only bad thing about that one, I'm not going to be able to get it down in there very far, but we'll see what happens. And then here's the other one. We'll plant all 3 of these together on the same row. That one's got a deeper stem, so. And then here's the other one here. But anyway, so when we go put these into the misting tent, then you'll see there's one other tray in there already, but it's just kind of a test tray to see what happens. And I'm going to do, I got 2 more varieties of these, and I'm going to do those off camera because it's the same thing over and over again. Mainly I just want to show you how I take the cuttings, the kind of pots I put them in. The soil, you know, of course, is my propagation mix. There's a video, I'll put a link up in the top if you want to watch that video if you haven't seen that. I had 1 extra cutting just to be safe. So I'm going to take these things over now, and we'll go stick them into the misting bed, and then I'll see if I can catch a glimpse of the mist coming on for you too in the video. So basically I'm just going to take this thing and I'm going to sit it right there. And I had this thing set up. These 24 trays will sit on one side. These will sit on one side. I can get 5 of these trays long ways and 5 of these long ways, or side by side through here. So I can get quite a few plants in this thing. So we'll sit here and wait for a second and see if we can get the mist to kick on. Okay, so there's the mist kicking on. I think I got it set right now 10 seconds every 7 minutes. And it seems to be doing pretty good. I checked it last time when it kicked on, and the leaves are just starting to be dry. And I think that's kind of what you're shooting for. When your leaves dry, like the second your leaves dry, then it's time for it to mist again. You want them to get wet, dry, get wet, dry, get wet, dry, but not stay dry too long. So anyway, that's it. So I'm going to do the other ones off camera, and I'll get those stuck in there. I'm not happy with my shade cloth. I got new shade cloth delivered today, so I'm going to do a new setup on the shade cloth. I don't know if I'll film that, but you'll see it the next time we put plants inside here. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.